to be able to see myself. Okay, we're live. Oh my God.
Ms. Davis Nelson, good to go. Okay, please welcome our next presenter, Ms. KMcHaney.
So my topic is abdominal aortic aneurysms. I had kind of a strange time coming up with this topic because I knew that I wanted to do something in vascular surgery, but I mean, I didn't know anything about vascular surgery. So I actually just went online and just looked up anything that, you know, there was two ways of doing something is kind of what I was searching for. And the most common one seemed to be abdominal aortic aneurysm. So an abdominal aortic aneurysm happens when the aorta in your stomach, it's supposed to it's supposed to be just like straight up, but I mean, after a while, sometimes it can sort of balloon out like this one, and it like gets stuff like caught in it and like waste from your body, and it becomes like really dangerous because if an aneurysm ruptures, then you could be dead in a minute, in a matter of like 6 minutes. A lot of people don't know if they have aneurysms because the symptoms don't always show. I mean, like you can have a stomach ache and then somebody will just say, oh, it's just a stomach ache, but you know, it really might not be. So I chose this topic because there's two different ways that that somebody can get treatment for this problem if they go to the hospital and realize what's happening. So the original method for taking care of this problem is called so the new one is the endovascular stent system, where there's two incisions made like in the groin area where they can send like a tube, you know, up into your aorta, up these two things, up the branches, and it goes inside of the aorta and it just opens up, and so it kind of recreates the wall of the aorta so that blood can flow through it and everything else is just kind of cut off. The old method was to just like make a big opening in your stomach and open it up and take everything out and just like patch up the aorta. That was sort of thought of as a more dangerous method because, I mean, there's a bigger incision site and, I mean, you're more likely to get sick from a disease or something. And, I mean, you also, but what I figured out when I researched all this is that they only use the old method if for some reason somebody wouldn't be viable for the stent system, because because of some sort of outside factor. And so they don't generally use the old system anymore. And people don't even think of it as an option usually. But what I found through my research was that in a lot of cases, I think that it would, like, honestly, if I had to have this surgery, I would probably get the old surgery because although it takes longer to recover from it, it's less likely to have complications because when they stitch everything up like that, then, you know, there isn't, like, they take all the stuff around the aneurysm out, and so you're less likely to have to go back and have another surgery. The newer one, you have to do a bunch of follow-up appointments, and there is more likely to have problems. And also, since it's a newer surgery and they put the stent inside your aorta, then, I mean, it's only been around for about 20 years. And so hopefully you're planning on living 20 years past when you have the surgery. And so nobody really knows if past 20 years, like, the stent is still going to hold up or if it's just going to break and you just have another aneurysm. So my mentor was David Strider. The reason that I got into vascular surgery for this project was because I talked to David when I was in 10th grade, when actually I was talking about the AP biology class that we had for governor's school, about the electrophoresis lab that we were doing. And he told me about how when he works at the hospital, they do those types of labs, and how cool it was that I was doing that kind of stuff in my classes. So I just got to talking to him about it, and he like offered to let me come to the hospital and internship there, and I was like, well, I actually have a senior internship, so I've actually been thinking about doing this since 10th grade. He was also my mentor for my community service because he has an organization that is somewhat in the medical field, and so that's what I decided to do for that. So during my internship, I went with David to the vascular surgery clinic down at UVA. Mostly what I did was I just followed David around, and I went to like all of his different patients. There was all types of different patients. I think one of the coolest things that I learned was about most of the people that were in there were actually amputees because they had some sort of vascular issue that caused them to have to lose like a limb. And I think one of what David really tried to stress to me the most during my internship was that one of the biggest problems in the medical field is when people get upset or they have a negative attitude towards whatever condition they have, especially amputees, because they'll be in a wheelchair, and you just have to keep people happy, and that makes them get better. And it really does, because you can see somebody like freaking out and really upset, and they're not getting better. But if they're happy, then they're more likely to respond to treatment. So for my community service, the organization that David helps with is called ProSami. The point of ProSami, well, what I did for ProSami was helped raise money through, we had a fund run at on the grounds at UVA, and we also had an African dinner where there is traditional African food being served by a woman who came here from Africa, and she cooked all this amazing food, and it was really awesome because it was like traditional African food that I've never seen before. I can't pronounce, and it was really awesome. And we're having another one April 22nd down at UVA if any of you guys want to come. But it was really awesome. So the significance of ProSami and the work that I was doing with them is the money that they're raising is going towards building a hospital in the rural Congo, because there's like a 10% infant mortality rate in the rural Congo, because like this is where they have babies. That's where they go because that's the closest they have to a hospital. And it's really sad because I didn't put some of the pictures up there because they're pretty bad. But usually women are just like giving birth like on the ground, and it's not clean, like it's a dirt ground. And so they're trying to build the hospital for that. They also have 4 women from the Congo that came over here to be trained in midwifery so that they can go back and serve in that capacity so that they can be more safe while delivering babies. So what I learned about myself during this is that I know my mom has always wanted me to go into the medical field, and I've always sort of thought of it as an option. And I really liked going to the hospital and meeting all the patients. But every single time when I left the hospital after the internship, I felt like I was going to throw up. And I don't really know why. And I told my dad that one time. He's like, oh, it's just because you're at the hospital. So I don't really know what it means, but maybe I need to, if I want to do something in the medical field, I should probably do something not necessarily in a hospital. So my advice for future governor's school kids is to pick something that that you're really going to like doing. Because I really liked doing this, but I maybe would have liked doing something else. Pick something that you're going to like, because there is a pretty good chance that I wasn't going to like doing vascular surgery. So, just pick something that you like. And I'm a procrastinator, but do what you want. That's it. Yeah.
The 2 different types of surgery. How do you know you need the surgery? What are the symptoms?
Oh, well, people a lot of times will go to the hospital if they are having problems or just to get a checkup and they'll say, oh, you have an aneurysm. And the only reason that you wouldn't get the new type is if, if the aneurysm is located in a really strange place or like right on the branch of the aorta, then you couldn't get the endovascular stent. But I mean, people just like when I figure out. I mean, usually if
Is it a blood pressure problem?
You know, it depends. I mean, like you might have blood pressure issues, like that's one of the symptoms, but I mean, mostly you'll figure it out like with just like constant stomach pain. I mean, it's just when people go to the hospital and they tell, usually when it ruptures, and that's when it's really bad. I think actually I was there when they did the very first emergency endovascular stent. Usually if it's an emergency, they do the old one because they can just like repair it really quickly and they have to patch it. But they did the very first one ever at UVA. And so I think it was like the 6th in the nation or something of the endovascular stent. So that was a little bit different because I mean it doesn't actually patch the aorta when it does that. It just kind of cuts off the blood flow to the walls of it. So I mean it's up to the doctor's discretion really.
And your mentor again, what was he a doctor?
He's an acute care nurse practitioner and also a clinical instructor.
What is the time frame for developing a aortic aneurysm? I mean, does it happen? You wake up one morning and you got it, or does it occur over time?
I mean, it does occur over time. Like so what happens is when it starts to balloon, then that's when it's technically an aneurysm. I think it's supposed to grow about 1 centimeter every year. So like it can be monitored. If you realize that you have an aneurysm, then a doctor can just monitor it instead of you having to automatically get the surgery. I think it is about 1 centimeter a year, obviously depending on how like your size. But I mean, and it can grow up to 5 centimeters before you're like required to get the surgery. So I mean, you could know that you have one and go another 5 years. It's just you're risking it rupturing, and you probably don't want to do that because you could be dead.
And you said they monitor it. How do they
Just
monitor?
regular checkups and getting CAT scans.
Sarah, who's at risk? Is this an age-related thing? Is it?
It is age-related. You're more likely to get one. I think males are more likely, and over the age of 60 is like the most likely group. Like male versus female really doesn't matter that much. It is like the older age group, but it is possible for anybody to get one.